Jungkook was standing in the Upland mansion, his cold gaze fixed on Ryan as she stood before him, her expression equally furious. Jungkook, I told you not to go there, didn't I? He said, his voice barely concealing his irritation. His eyes sparkled with anger as she met his gaze, her fingers clenching into his. Ryan, and I told you I can handle myself, she retorted, her voice just as sharp. Jungkook, clearly you can't, he shot back, his eyes flickering down to the injury on his arm. You got hurt, he said, his tone filled with a mix of frustration and concern. He was seething with anger as he stared at Payan. Despite his explicit instruction, she had disregarded his warning and followed him into danger. The mission he was on was perilous and her restlessness put them on both at risk. And just as he had feared, when they were met with bullets, Payan had been in harm's way, a bullet narrowly missing her. He had acted quickly, intercepting the bullet and saving her life. She trembled with fury as she faced Jungkook. They both have severe anger issues. If one is fire, then the other one is storm. Her heart thumped loudly in her chest. Despite Jungkook's order to stay behind, she had followed him into the dangerous mission, determined to stand by his side, but her boldness had almost cost her life. A bullet had come closer to hitting her, only to be deflected by Jungkook's quick reflexes. Why? And what about you? She retorted. You think you can just go off on dangerous missions without me and expect me to stay behind like some damsel in distress? I am your partner, not your baggage. Van, I may not have your years of training on your skills, she continued, her voice rising with emotion, but I care about you too. Damn it, I am not going to just sit back and let you face danger alone. Jungkook, that's not the point, he shot back, his voice grove. The point is that you disobeyed a direct order, and it nearly got you killed. I told you to stay behind for a reason. His frustration was visible in the rigid set of his shoulders and the tension in his stance. His muscles coiled tightly as if ready to pounce. Shankar, you put yourself in danger. And you put me in a position where I had to choose between staying focused on the mission and saving your life. And you know clearly that my priority is always you, he added, his words edged with anger. Well, I know I disobeyed your orders, she said, through gritted teeth, her eyes looking with his. But can you honestly say that you wouldn't do the same if the situation was reversed? You would never hesitate to put yourself in danger if it meant protecting me. The heat of the argument causing her head to spin. As she spoke, she took a step back, distancing herself from him. I don't want to say something I'll regret later. She muted, her voice flaring slightly. Without waiting for a response, she turned on her heel and stormed out of the room, shutting the door behind her with a thud. He gritted his teeth, his hands clenching into fists. Jungkook, damn it, he muted under his breath, his gaze fixed on the door through which one had just stormed out. As the time skipped, she gripped the steering wheel of her luxurious black car tightly as she navigated the empty road. The night was dark and quiet, the only sound coming from the hum of the engine. Her mind was still racing from the earlier argument, her heart a pure pile of emotions. She drove her car down the empty road, her mind still swirling with lingering anger and frustration. With each passing mile, her heart rate slowed, and the initial heat of the argument faded into a calmer, more contemplative state. A glance in her rearview mirror revealed the sight of another vehicle, its headlights casting a steady glow on the road behind her. The realization that Jungkook's car followed closely behind hers, both a pang of mixed emotion. She had anticipated his stubborn pursuit, knowing his restlessness nature all too well. As she continued down the road, a strange sense of calm washed over her. The empty road stretched before her like a ribbon of solitude, and the steady presence of Jungkook's car behind her provided an odd comfort. She knew that the night would end with that facing each other again, and that his infuriating stubbornness would lead him to make it up to her. Her fingers loosened their tight grip on the steering wheel, and a slight smile tugged at the corner of her lips. Despite the earlier argument, she couldn't deny the underlying certainty that whatever happened, they would find their way back to each other, a messy, fiery, but undeniable truth. As she continued driving, lost in thought, her attention was suddenly snatched away by the sound of an engine reviving behind her. Startled, she looked up just as time to see his car speeding up and swiftly maneuvering ahead, cutting in front of her. Yanking the steering wheel to the side, she swerved to avoid a collision of his car come to a greening halt in front of her, blocking her path completely. She watched as he stepped out of his car, his figure silhouetted against the night. He leaned his arms against the hood of his car, waiting silently. She sat for a moment before sighing deeply and killing the engine of her own car. She stepped out, facing Jungkook, who stood defiantly before her. As she stepped out of her car, her eyes fixated on him, her glare intensifying. However, as their gaze met, his expression softened, and a hint of smile tugged at the corner of his lip. He opened his arm, an invitation of her to step into his embrace. His eyes held a mixture of repentance and affection, silently asking for forgiveness. Without protest, she stepped forward, closing the short distance between them, and stepping into his waiting embrace. As their bodies met, his arms encircled her. The tension seemed to dissolve into the cold night air. His touch was familiar and yet tinged with a hint of apology. She wrapped her arms around him, bringing her face into his chest as she exhaled deeply. He held her close. His voice was a soft whisper against her hair. Jungkook, I am sorry for earlier love, he murmured, his hand gently stroking her back. I didn't mean to lose my temper. He pulled back slightly, his gaze meeting hers. Jungkook, I shouldn't have said those things. I was just worried about you, that's all, he confessed, his voice laced with sincerity. She looked into his eyes, her own filled with remorse. Well, I am sorry too, she murmured, her voice filled with sincerity. I shouldn't have gone there against your order. I was just worried about you. He leaned down, his lips brushing against her forehead in a gentle kiss. Jungkook, I don't like seeing you in danger, he murmured, his voice a mixture of relief and residual irritation. But as long as you are safe, that's all that matters for me. Jungkook, I know you are strong enough, he said, his voice firm but tender. I know you can hold your own, that you are a mafia queen for a reason. But it's because I love you that I worry. It's because I care about you that I hate seeing you in danger. He squeezed her closer, his voice thick with emotion. Jungkook, I swear, love, when I saw that bullet heading towards you, my soul nearly left my body. He, the thought of losing you is unbearable. Why? I didn't mean to scare you like that, she whispered, her own voice unsteady. I promise I'll be more careful next time. He smiled softly, his lips brushing against her forehead once more, then gently kissing the tip of her nose. Jungkook, as long as I am with you, no one will harm you, he declared, his voice firm with resolve. I'll protect you no matter what.